showtime.
It's showtime. And here we go.
Welcome into another edition of the Movie Geek Podcast. I'm your host, George T. And as always, this is my weekend box office report and what is to come. This weekend is a huge weekend for movie releases. Not a lot of big ones, just a lot of small ones. Some are going to Netflix, Hulu, and also small limited releases. So there's a lot going on here this week. There's only a few featured films this weekend. Neither one, I think, will absolutely challenge the top two at this point, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, we're going to look at the box office review. So, number 5, number 5, it is Until Dawn, making 3.8. I still think this is a very good movie, and it's staying at number 5 up against this competition is doing wonders. I think you guys should go see it. If you haven't seen my shorts or you haven't seen my review on it, please go back and do that. It may sway you to want to see it, or you may not want to see it, but it is worth a view. Number 4, which was number 3 last week, counted to 9.4. Not bad. Minecraft jumps back into the 3 spot from 4 at 13.7. And then the two big ones right now. Sinners dropped from number 1 after 2 straight weeks to number 2, still pulling in 33.1 million. I'm telling you right now, if I had my vote right now, Sinners would be my Oscar front runner, and that's no bullshit at this point. I honestly think that Sinners has been the best movie so far, and there's been some good movies so far. I think Queen of the Ring was really good. If you haven't seen that review, go back and see it. I still think Black Bag was really good, even though it didn't have a very successful money wise run. I think now that it's on the streaming video on demand, once it's on a streaming service, I honestly think this movie will gain some traction with fans because it is such a good thriller. And then, of course, number 1, which I will be dropping a Marvel report with Daredevil and this movie, The Thunderbolts with an asterisk, at 74.3 million. Okay, number 1, not bad. It is touted as the best film since Endgame. I think probably it is, because the MCU hasn't had the best track record when it comes to Phase 4 and Phase 5 movies, although Captain America was pretty good, The Brave New World. The rest of them have fallen flat. Just, an observation from a Marvel fan. The TV shows have been good, but you'll have to go and see that one when it drops. But right now we're working on this one. So, last week I talked about Surfer and Rosario. Rosario was a Spanish horror film. It only was in less than 800 theaters. Made up 513,000. That's pretty damn good for a movie in such limited release. Also, Nick Cage's movie The Surfer, literally in less than 900 theaters, made 698,000. I think that is pretty good. I think this movie is going to be on video on demand by the end of this week, or maybe at the beginning of next week. Maybe that's why it's such a limited release for it. And of course, it's going to be, a great film for the Nicolas Cage fandom, because it's Nicolas Cage being crazy. I mean, I mentioned that last week in the weekend report from last week. So not too bad. So this week we got, like I said, we got a lot of films. Starting on Wednesday, we've got Last Bullets by Netflix. This has been a series of movies that Netflix has had, uh, and it drops on Wednesday. A Swedish film called Watch the Skies is also coming out this weekend in a very small uh, release. The trailer gives a Stranger Things vibe. The film is about a teenager whose father goes missing, feels like he's been abducted. She befriends a UFO group, and they start an adventure to go and find out the truth. Sounds very Stranger Thing-ish. Again, the trailer itself looks kind of like Stranger Things. So when it comes to streaming, I'll definitely check it out. But again, it's going to be in very limited release, so I don't know how many theaters it'll be in. Netflix is also dropping Unit 234. This stars Don Johnson, Isabella Furman, and Jake Houston. A a lone employee of a storage unit facility is in need of surviving a ruthless gang who um, is threatening to kill him after he discovers a body in one of the storage units. Okay, Netflix, you go. We've got Summer of '69. We've got, this is starring Natalie Morales, Charlie Bay, Juliana Bell, Chloe Feynman. So this is another one of these independent films about sex workers. It's not on the same plane as Nora. This more, I think, has to do with the movie Stardom, which Sean Baker did years ago. Uh, Abby, played by Sam Morales, is seeking inspiration for knowing how to be able to do many different sexual acts to impress a crush. But she quickly learns that experience and knowing from her experiences what pleases a guy and who she can confide in as friends is more important. So a little coming of age type thing. So Summer of '69, that comes out in limited release. Sharp Corner. So this movie is based on a short story. Um, Ben Foster plays a man who has seen too much um, carnage happen. He is a man who becomes obsessed with saving car accident victims from this very sharp corner um, that he lives on. So apparently, this is like a lot of roads in America where you have dangerous turns, and there's been a lot of accidents, and of course, this guy has to see it a lot. So he is strongly advocating for getting rid of this thing. I applaud the effort. So again, it was based on a short story, so that looks pretty good. We'll wait and see it um, on the streaming services. So turn, so as in SEW, like so. This is a Swiss film, uh, and it looks really crazy. Not gonna lie, but think sliding doors. If you remember sliding doors, um, Gwyneth Paltrow in that movie has to just weigh the consequences of either going home early or not going home on this train. and circumstances happen in both. So you kind of know what the outcome is of each. So it just makes a different and uh, weird situation. So again, the sew part is they're sewing the story together. So it looks pretty cool. Um, Netflix is also putting out Nonons. Um, I probably pronounced that wrong. But Vince Vaughn, after losing his mother, in her memory, wants to open an Italian restaurant with four grandmothers. Um, the grandmothers are played by Lauren Bacall, um, Talia Shire, who we haven't seen in a very long time, Susan Sarandon, and Brenda Valencio. Um, it looks pretty funny. I know that I've seen a couple of people that I follow on Instagram at the red carpet premiere, so I'll definitely be watching this weekend. I think it's probably very cute, and I will probably give you a review on it. Then we get Lily. This is a true story about a courageous um, factory worker who is more or less whistleblowing about the conditions of working for this company. So Patricia um, Clarkson is Lily. Josh McDermott is also in this movie. So a pretty good cast. And again, based on a true story. So it definitely is going to be worth a view. I love true stories. Um, Next, we have Henry Johnson, a man who seeks his moral compass while meeting authority figures and eventually his cellmate, Gene. Shia LaBeouf and Chris Bauer are the two main characters in this film. Think kind of Shawshank Redemption, but completely not Shawshank Redemption. Like it's not even close. But good try. But it's kind of along that vein where um, you know, LaBeouf's character um, is trying to right himself. All right. So now next one we have another one, Caught by the Tides. This is a Chinese film. Um, this is very peculiar as well. This takes place over a 22-year journey of an impressionistic style between non-linear stories told in fiction and non-fiction. Interesting. Probably worth a look down the road. It might even be one that may get an Oscar look, and probably have to see it eventually. Um, and then we've got on demand Absolute Dominion. This is a martial arts movie. Uh, so think Mortal Kombat, but think of a holy Mortal Kombat. So where we're not trying to save the world from another world taking over. This is about a guy who puts together a governing body to enlist the best um, fighters from the religious faith. So we've got a religious fighting tournament to see whose religion is going to govern humanity and restore peace in the world. The premise alone is absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry. um, Mortal Kombat, but in religious form? Yikes. I mean, it's original. I will give all the credit in the world to whoever wrote this and whoever directed it, that you had this concept, but golly. Okay, so now we get to some of the movies that are touted for this weekend. We have Shadow Force. This stars um, Kerry Washington and Omar Sy. Also, Mark Johnson, Method Man, and Divine Joy Randolph. So, this is about a family couple who is got their hands full and on the run from former friends and shadow ops who were trying to eliminate them. So think Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but put them together instead of having them fight each other, trying to survive their coworkers or ex-coworkers um, from killing them. Okay, the trailer looks okay. Like it looks okay. We'll see how it goes. I think an underrated movie this year is going to be Friendship. Um, this is about a suburban dad falls hard for his charming uh, next door neighbor. Now, that title alone doesn't really give much, but in the trailer, this guy, um, played by Tim Robinson, married to Kate Mara, um, you know, he has kind of a very antisocial life. And the new neighbor next door, Paul Rudd, is kind of a free spirited kind of guy. And he kind of gets invited to this party of other dads, and they just have like a connection right away. And then when Paul Rudd's character decides to end the friendship, that's when trouble begins. So it's kind of a crazy concept, but I can't wait to see that movie because the trailer itself just kind of looks um, dark but funny, and I think it'll be a good watch. I think it'll do some decent business this weekend. Three more movies that have been really high up on um, the first showing that I use. Juliet and Romeo. Okay, so for years we've called it Romeo and Juliet. This time we're calling it Juliet and Romeo. But this is a musical. Yep, an original pop musical. I don't know what that means because I'm not a music person, but from what I gather, it's going to be quite the musical. Claire Regardin, um, Jamie Ward, um Jason Isaacs, Rebel Wilson, and Rupert Everett are in this movie. So you know Rebel Wilson being in this movie, you know it's going to be funny. And you know there's going to be song and dancing. So obviously it just fits right in, but we're going to put Juliet in front of Romeo. We're going to try to attract a different audience. Even though it's the same story, it's just going to be, think Knight's Tale. Remember when they did Knight's Tale? And they put all the modern music in there? I think this is what they're doing with this from what I saw from the trailer. Okay. I don't think it's going to be that big. I think Friendship actually has a better chance of doing better than Juliet and Romeo, but who am I to judge? I don't judge anymore because I've been wrong about a lot of things. I remember last year saying Dune was going to make 300 million. It didn't even make 300 million in the theaters alone. I thought it would make 300,000 like in a weekend because everyone was talking about the visual effects and everything else. Didn't even do 300 million in theaters. Now, maybe because of the length of the movie, maybe that was why, but at the same time, it's like, well, what do we do? Why didn't this movie make more? But we also know last year was the year of uh, the uh, non-blockbuster really being on top. We had Deadpool and Wolverine, which was, but it wasn't Oscar worthy enough because comedies and superheroes don't usually mix. But we also had the um, dominance of kids movies during that summer. A lot of the kids' movies brought those parents back to the movies. So, finally, the last two. We have Clown in a Cornfield. This is based on a 2020 horror novel that won the Bram Stoker's Award for Best Young um, Adult Novel. So, um, a fading Midwest Western town in which Friendo the clown was a symbol of a bygone success story. Basically, Friendo reemerges after so many years, a terrifying scourge through the town. Katie Douglas, Aaron Abrams, Carson uh, McNamee, and Will Sasso is in this film. So you're thinking Will Sasso is a comedian. So you're thinking campy. Yeah, this trailer looks freaking campy as hell. But if you don't like clowns, this is probably not the movie for you. If you love clowns, it's probably right up there with uh, Terrifier, but on a different platform. Like Terrifier is like way up here now, and then like every other clown movie is probably going to be way down here. But it's got a little bit of buzz, so it may do some decent money. Finally, a movie that I think will probably get into the top five this week um, is Fight or Flight. A mercenary played by Josh Hartnett. So after the success of Trap, um, Josh Hartnett steps back into the leading man role, takes the job of tracking down a target that is on a plane. But he must also protect himself when it is found out that he is on the plane trying to protect the asset. Um, Katie Sackhoff is in this film. She is the one that is the task uh, force leader of Josh Hartnett to get the asset home from the plane, which, as from the trailer, looks like he's on a plane full of assassins. So what a crazy idea! And then the trailer looks even more crazier. Josh Hartnett plays crazy madman again in this one. Um, it looks insane, but I think it will be something that people will enjoy and they'll want to go see because you know what, Josh Hartnett is still a decent name. We know he hasn't been in many of the starring roles late, in his career since that early run, the teen heartthrob era. But he has done some good work throughout, and then somebody took a chance, like M. Night Shyamalan took a chance and put him in the leading role in Trap, and now he's got Fight or Flight. So maybe he will see more of the action um, movies or crazy roles. Who knows? But this is a movie I think that will crack the top five. I just don't see Thunderbolts, Sinners, and even to a certain extent still Minecraft. Coincidentally, I didn't mention this when Minecraft was um, being talked about as the number three film. I saw something when I went to my local theater that they were putting out Minecraft in a special edition, like a block party. This movie has to leave the theater soon. Like, I think the TikTok trend is over with. Thank God I haven't seen any of those viral videos. I think the cops and the movie places have really cracked down on the TikTok craze. Thank God. Um, but putting it out there that this is a block party edition now. Whew. Hey, somebody made this movie. It looked horrible. There's still a lot of fans out there that are like, "Oh my God, this movie is terrible." but yet there's a lot of people still watching the movie. So, again, not a flop because it's making a ton of money, but to maybe the hardcore Minecrafters, um, it's a flop for them. I don't know because I'm not going to see it until it gets on video. Uh, George does not want to see that movie, probably until it gets to streaming, or he may not even watch it. But he still knows Minecraft because he did play Minecraft. So, all right, so that is your box office report. I'm going to have a special um, review right now of a movie I saw on Netflix starring Tom Hardy. It is called Havoc. I'm not going to lie to you that I was really looking forward to this movie because I thought from the trailer it looked really good. And for the most part, I will give it that the story was decent. You've got, you know, Tom Hardy's character uh, is a rogue cop along with his pals, led by um, Timothy Olyphant. Um, and it's a drug bust that's gone wrong. Um, Somebody winds up dead, but they have to cover it up. And the only one that really knows all of the evidence that happened was Tom Hardy's character. So he kind of lives with that guilt. And at the same time, he has a conscience because he is trying to help the big mayor politician save his crooked son. Like, he's a drug dealer, but he's getting himself in trouble, and you can't have that as a mayoral candidate or a senator. I don't remember what he was exactly because it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle in this movie. And so his son is uh, running a little uh, drugs to this Asian gang, and this is where it kind of goes off the rail. Um, so the guy who was supposed to be protecting the boss decides to take off. 4 gunmen come in with masks and wipe everyone out, take all the drugs and the money, and split. And then the mother of the murdered gangster, um, is the crime head, wants to know why he wasn't there or how he, couldn't save her son and so on. He makes up a whole story about it. Comes to find out that he was on the take from the beginning, and so were the crooked cops, played by Timothy Olyphant. Meanwhile, Tom Hardy is trying to investigate the thing. He has no real friends anymore. He only has them, but at the same time, he also suspects that it could be, somebody who had the motive. And then he realizes eventually down the road that, oh my god, it could be my guys. And so he can't even trust them. So eventually, Tom Hardy's character has to save the politician's kid and his friend, his woman friend. So there is a scene where Hardy is trying to take both of them out safely out of this club before his guys show up, and Timothy Olyphant comes in, wants to take them both because he knows that he'll get a reward that he needs, and he says, are we going to have a problem? And of course we're going to. And then all of a sudden the Asian gang comes in, and there's all-out war. Okay, so I want to say that this was trying to be John Wick, and for the most part, the action sequences are good. I don't give it credit for having us be more or less into the action. Like when they're running, the camera is running. It's like me running with a camera trying to hold it still and literally, bouncing up and down. It was kind of making me like, was this kind of shot on this like low budget thing? Like normally when you're following a running scene, the camera's kind of still. It's probably on one of those tracks. It just looks like this guy is literally following with a camera, and he's like just, and I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I can look past it, but I can't because there's a lot of scenes where they're just running around trying to follow these guys. And now think Kill Bill, where they are just pumping lead into every single person. Like everybody gets 30, like 30 shots to them. It looks like the old blood packets are just popping everywhere. And I'm like, not even John Wick has that much, of the blood pellet looking thing. He shoots him a couple times. He doesn't shoot him like 40 times. There's this one scene that I cannot get out of my head where a witness is in the hospital. Okay, he literally is in a coma. This guy comes in with a silencer. Now, granted, he takes out the cop that's guarding him. Now, if you're really going to take somebody out with a silencer, you're going to shoot him probably once in the head and maybe once in the chest just to make sure. No, he literally shoots the entire fucking gun into the guy and then puts the last bullet in his head. Do you really need to shoot that many times a guy in a coma? Like, probably one shot in the head and one shot in the chest probably would have done the trick. Instead, we're pumping a whole goddamn magazine into him. For what reason? It's just over the top, just dumb. Stupidity, really. Like, you proved a point. You want to make this very John Wickish, very, gang related and so on, but at the same time, like, you don't need all this. You don't. You really don't need the amount of bullets that were in there. The pack. I mean, now you get to the very end where the whole plot's coming through and everything else, and there is just an all-out gun battle at this cabin. Okay, there's so many bullets flying around, and you would think these trained killers could get 3 people that are trying to walk out a door and hit them. No, can't. They wind up getting back in, and they start taking everyone out from the inside. Then there's a group that's coming through the back door. They're coming through, and they're just mowing them down. Then there's some guys underneath the floorboards. I don't even know where the floorboards came in from, but of course, they're getting killed down there. Then there's the confrontation between all the members of each party, and then a shootout starts again. One of the crooked cops takes 26 bullets to the chest. He falls to the ground all dramatically, and I'm like, wow, what are we doing? 26 bullets, do we really need to shoot him 26 times? I guess. But that didn't kill him. He was on the ground, still trying to talk. I'm like, what? I'm like, man, this movie had so much potential. It had so much potential. The story itself is not too bad, though. It kind of gets lost in the just over-the-top violence. And again, I'm all for the violence. Like, John Wick is a good example of pretty good violence. but I don't see John Wick standing there after he kills somebody, pumping more bullets into somebody. No, I don't. And most of the time he's shooting him once in the head and basically killing him. Instead, we're trying to make these guys pincushions, more or less. So, again, you're thinking Kill Bill in the over-the-top Quentin Tarantino blood. So maybe that was what the director and the writers were going for. It just doesn't work. It really doesn't work for me. And so I'll give this an even. And the only reason why I'm going to is because, again, the story kind of gets devalued because of the over-the-top violence for me. But again, you may like the over-the-top violence, and so this movie might be good for you, or you may just dislike the whole thing altogether and think, well, what was he saying, or why does he think it's worth my time to see? Well, because of the fact that it's a really short film. It's not 2 hours. And if you're looking for a violent film, this is definitely a violent film. I really don't even want to get into a lot of it because, again, it's mostly just a lot of crooked cops. This one's betraying that one, and so on. Drug deal gone bad, and then eventually everybody's just almost all of them are dead. Basically, it's just a shootout. And everything else. At the end, Tom Hardy takes out Timothy Olyphant, who's trying to escape with money, and then he tells his partner that he should be arrested because he killed his guy. We don't know if he does or not. It kind of fades to black. So again, I just told you the whole film, basically a span of 10 minutes, maybe. I don't even know. When I go through and edit, I'll know exactly. But so I would say it's even because, again, if you like the over-the-top violence, you actually might think it's 4 stars on your end or 1 thumbs up for me, or you could absolutely just hate it altogether. But that's your opinion. And again, as a movie snob or movie geek or whatever you want to call me, because I've been called many things, and yes, I have varying opinions just like everyone else. So again, you might actually like this film, you might actually hate it. So let me know if you actually see this movie, what you think of it. And if you haven't seen it yet, again, hear this and then take your opinion, and then when you're done, let me know what you think. I'm looking for the comments and so on. I'm also looking for likes and subscriptions. That really helps out. You guys have been really good at watching this stuff, watching the shorts and everything else. So thank you for that. And that's it for this episode. I really do appreciate it. And like always, I'll see you at the movies.
You like that, baby? Let him know where I came from, yeah!
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.